I'm Daria Tolbert, your radio personality and TV host of the Gospel Groove with Black Contemporary TV. Today I have joining me is Mr. Bruce Carter, the founder and CEO of the Next Top CEO. They call him Mr. Bruce. Bruce.
Hey, how are you?
No, how are you with the Next Top CEO? Let me dive right on in here. What ignited the spark in you to start the Next Top CEO? How did you go about with the idea?
A couple of years ago, my character was attacked. My integrity, based on, as I kind of worked through why is this happening. I know I will give everything I have to people, and it was because I had a felony conviction over a decade ago, and you go through, you fight. I actually sued the company and went through that process, but I realized during the process that if you do this to me because of something decades ago, and that's the only thing you have to deal with me on, what about the men and women who don't have the fight I have, who don't have the background of serving or some of the resources that I have access to? And it was at that point I started thinking, you know what? I'm going to impact my community by making sure that individuals are not taken advantage of just because. And so, thus came the Next Top CEO.
So you have a logo.
Yes.
And I want to know what that logo represents, impacting communities. What does that represent?
That represents change.
Change.
It represents something I believe when I talk to the individuals, and the Next Top CEO basically caters to individuals who have a felony conviction, and I just believe that if they go in and have a positive impact on their community, that for some of the people who still want to do the ex-felon or convict, whatever they want to call it, that enough people start to recognize them for doing good and having a positive impact. And so that's what the impacting community is, from cutting hair of the homeless, feeding the homeless, mowing lawns, whatever it is, doing recovery efforts when there are disasters showing up on the scene, but making sure that also kids know that, man, there is options, but you got to make sure you make the right choices. So that's kind of where the impacting community represents.
Name just a few people you have who are going to be a part of the Next Top CEO, who has the same drive and believe in the mission that you do.
There's two people who thus far.
And I know there's going to be more.
Yeah, there's more. But two people, and I'll say names that you probably recognize. One's Master P, Percy Miller. As he called himself, the boss of all bosses.
Right.
And Joe Torre, the comedian Joe Torre. And they both bring something very different to the table. Of course, Master P brings that sound level of success financially, coming from basically nothing and saying, man, this could happen for you. And then Joe brings that longevity. He brings that they say, man, it doesn't matter. You can do this, and you can do it for a long time if you do it right. And people may not know, still today he packs out wherever he goes, and that's here in America and also internationally. And when you got people like this that's willing to sit down and basically school you and give you that little bit of glimpse of hope when you have so many people around you saying that it ain't gonna happen, you can't do this. But those are the two, like you say, for now, that I take my hat off to.
Oh, that's awesome. What are your hopes to accomplish with the Next Top CEO? What are some of your goals?
My goals are very lofty,
very,
very lofty, and I just believe that when we achieve them, we will have changed where we are as a country.
You said when, I like that.
That has to be it. Some of the immediate goals are to make sure that these gentlemen, because it's only men that's actually the top candidates now, that they will become homeowners, because some can't rent because of the background, as they call it. So we're in the process of making them homeowners. And then as we can stabilize them in the relationship with their children, then we want to get out into Chicago, and we want to change Chicago. We believe we can change Chicago, and then we want to fix Detroit. And I believe that if we can do those two over the next 2 or 3 years, that we've done something, then people will kind of look at individuals different and start dealing with people based on who they are now, because that's important. I always use this analogy. When a man robs or steals something when he's 19, at 45, he never does it again. Is he still a thief? Or when a man or a lady commits adultery when they're young in their marriage, 20, 21, but they're married to this person and they're now celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary. Are they still in adultery?
Right.
And
Putting a label.
they label, you know, they label people, and unfortunately, here in America, when you look at the disparities of who's actually incarcerated, who has that, it tends to have a direct impact on communities that, look like me. And so I just know that, we can go in and change that thought process.
And we need the next top CEO. I'm so sick of hearing about the first 48 crime rate in Chicago and just in small, I'm just tired of it. We need this. We need the next top CEO. So, with that being said, what has been some of your most enjoyable moments working with these men and women? What has motivated you?
Oh man, just to see the end is what motivates me the most. But we do a 4:30 conference call every morning.
Boy, that's dedication.
Yeah, and to hear the guys' laughter. To hear them sometimes fall asleep, and then we play the game to find out who it was. But more than anything, when they go in these communities, it's 100 degrees, they're out grilling, feeding people, or it's raining on Father's Day, and they're out cutting hair and feeding, and the joy when we finish how they talk, or to see a grown man who has tattoos all over his body in tears saying, man, I never could see myself doing this, but this is some of the most enjoyable moments of my life. I can leave that scene and go home and say, wow. So those are some of my most enjoyable.
That's wonderful. What would you say were the 5 key elements to starting and running a successful business?
That's
hard.
You're right. Starting, you can always start one.
Right, and running.
The number one thing that I've learned, because I started when I was 8 years old, so I learned that failure is part of the process, because man, I'd be like, wow. But the number one thing starting out, you gotta have a plan. And you need to write that plan down so you can examine that plan before you start. Because maybe you start out with 8 steps, but you really need 14 steps. Not that it was a bad plan, but you didn't have enough steps in it. And then the second one is you gotta be committed. You gotta be committed to the plan that you believe is the best plan. And thirdly, since you're making me name 5, thirdly, you got to think big. You got to see yourself doing this at a large grandstand. And that way, even if you get to a certain level, you're still successful. And then the other one is, which I normally say it should be first, is faith. You got to have faith. And you got to have the kind of faith that you know this is gonna work out. You know that what God is gonna get me there.
Faith
no matter what's going
on.
And that's it. You gotta make sure that you have that faith. Because if not, people could destroy your success, your dreams. And then inside of all that, you gotta have what we present more than anything. The next top CEO, our core product, is opportunity. You have to have an opportunity. When you get that opportunity, you have to seize it. You got to go in there, you got to fight for it, and you got to get it, and you got to keep it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Mr. Rose, tell me, there's an event coming up at the Fair Park in Dallas, Texas. Tell me a little bit about that. Share details.
Yeah, the details. It's the Appreciation Festival. And the name speaks for what I believe as a person that we lack. We lack gratitude. We lack being thankful. We lack the fact that somebody has done something for us. And we want to bring that aura, that element of gratefulness to the city of Dallas, and believe that we can make it become contagious where, it starts to root down in the people. But inside of that event, which is November the 15th through the 17th, here in Dallas, Fair Park, Cotton Bowl, massive. The 2 days that I'm most excited about, outside all of the celebrities that will be there, the entertainers, is the Pep Rally for Education, which is inside the Cotton Bowl. And we're saying that it's going to be the largest pep rally ever held. It's for education. We want to see children and parents come in and learn and believe when they leave that I can do it. I can go to college. I can do this. And I think that we have to start investing directly into our children so what they hear and see on TV that's not positive is all they get. And then we want to honor our teachers. We want to let the world know that teachers, what we expect of them, we got to start putting that and making it a reality. So we're going to give away some very nice prizes. We're going to give away some awards for those teachers that have dedicated so much of their life to children. And when I learned that teachers, they don't make a bunch of money. We got so much that we expect of them. And they're some of the lowest paid people. And when I learned that teachers take their own money and buy supplies to make sure they have in their room, I said, this is crazy. So we're going to do our best as members of the Next Top CEO to put together a fund to where teachers don't have to do that. And then Sunday, the 17th.
What's going on Sunday?
It's the crowning of the Next Top CEO.
Woo! Who's going to be crowned?
I can't tell you that. I don't know that to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
But I just know that when that Sunday's over with, the impact, what will be demonstrated, the thought process, the critical thinking that will be attacked will change lives forever. And just to know that men, some who served 20 years, 10 years, 13 years, will be the main reason why people grab this. And then more than anything, child support will be paid off. It's just some men are, they're handicapped and they're handcuffed by child support. Because if you can't get a job, and I'm not talking about men who just don't want to pay and don't want to be a father, but I'm talking about men who genuinely have a love for their children and they are out doing the best they can do. And we have to get away from where it's always about money.
That's awesome, Mr. Bruce. Appreciation Festival, November the 15th through the 17th. Be sure that you come out, support, be a part of the Next Top CEO, impacting the communities. I'm your girl, Daria Tolbert, Mr. Bruce Carter, aka Mr. Bruce, joining me on today. Until next time.